What's up, Fortnite fam? I'm Zeke.
And I'm Sundown, and over the past weekend, we saw the FNCS kick off action across all 7 of the regions. So let's dive on in and check out what went down.
Making their tournament debut, the Middle East servers came online. Sundown, what happened?
So, in the Middle East, 4 teams will qualify through to the final round, and we saw Alter Ego Fiesel, Alter Ego Klops, and then Hero Kappa managed to win 3 out of their 9 games in order to take away the top spot. So I actually went back through and watched their final game, and they were in shambles and were playing a bunch of the low ground, but Klops, when he only had 3 drum shotgun shells and an infantry rifle, managed to push through a guy's wall, pick up a key elimination, and then allow them to run through and take that victory royale. I'm really excited to see where the Middle East server kind of goes as a region moving forward, because I expect them to continue to grow week after week as more players kind of filter their way in.
Now let's head over to OCE, where Jesse and Jordan, the X2 twins, and their third partner Volks just dominated semifinals, then transitioned that into a finals win as well.
Yeah, so they were able to just basically tear up the region. They won 5 of their 7 matches, and then they averaged a placement of 1.59 across the entire competition. That is ridiculous. It's the best overall average placement we had across the entire competition, and it really started to kind of set a trend that we haven't seen before in solos and duos, where before we've seen teams kind of have a balanced approach between eliminations or placements, but generally hinge on one. So far, the trend both from Middle East and OCE is if you're winning out consistently, you're going to be on the top, because one, it enables you for eliminations, but placement points are that much more valuable.
Asia's next. Macy, Usia, and Q-Jack managed to win the finals overall. Sundown, tell me more about this team.
We've seen a little bit of them before, but they were able to win 2 of their 7 matches. The key here was they averaged placing top 5 across all of their games. Now, top 4 was the line in terms of that last placement bar, but top 5 was pretty much the pinnacle of the Asian placements going on there. The one key thing that we saw from them in their 13 Elim Victory Royale, Macy Fishy at one point when trying to rotate was caught down to 8 HP. Another one of his teammates got picked off. He managed to then circle back over to Usia, and he get around 60 HP, then drops down, 1v3s a team, picks up all of them, and then goes on to close it out, getting the 4th Elim. And you could tell right from there, that was their 3rd match. They had the momentum going, and they were able to close it out in the end.
You'll love to see it. Let's head on over to EU, where 2 teams were battling it out, going head-to-head, and that was between the teams of Letwick, Quexi, and Dementos versus Mongrel, Mitro, and Benji.
With just 10 minutes left in the queue timers as they all went in, only 1 point was separating these guys, and then you saw that Mongrel, Mitro, and Benji had been really making Retail Row their home. They'd been fighting whoever there and taking all of the Cube Monster loot for themselves. And what they were then able to do from that is push forward, and we saw an incredible performance from them in the semis. However, Mitro shockwaved up to take a 1v1, got himself knocked, but his shockwave up threw his other 2 teammates off of a campfire and away from a launch pad, which gave them no more options. They then had to take the fight. They got cleaned up. This then allowed for the Gambit duo of Letwick and Flexi plus Secret Dementos to then clean up in their final match. Europe had just over half of the overall competitors in the trios, with over 6,000 trios competing.
In Brazil, we watched some very familiar faces hold down the top, and that was DK, Blackouts, and Mastier.
So the final battle came down between the C9 boys and Mastier versus Fa, Reflex, and King BR. And no, not that King. He ended up placing 5th. He was right there. You can see him on the leaderboard there with Toxic and Exxon. But the funny thing was they ended up in the exact same match, and then they both went off. The C9 boys ended up getting 17 elims in 2nd place, whereas Fa, Reflex, and King were able to get 1st place with 10 elims. So both rocketed themselves up, but they had enough of a differentiation where they were able to take that top spot by 13 points there at the end. What was funny though is their actual little 1v1 at the end was really intense, and to see it go the way of not the victors was interesting. Definitely expect to see these teams battling it out again.
In NA East, we saw World Cup veterans Clicks, Crims, and Spades bring home the W with 124 points.
They were able to keep their momentum rolling from the World Cup and topping the region, which was very impressive. I mean, 9 points clear at Hornet and Tickers. And honestly, big props to Crims, the player from Lazarus. He had a couple of particular great individual efforts in tight spots that enabled them to clutch up their games and really push forward and take home that top spot. Now, we talked about Crims clutching up, but Cloud, Flyfo, and Snood did secure the 8th and the final qualification spot. Snood was particularly known for being the player who averaged the highest during the World Cup qualifying process, but didn't end up going in. In their final 2 matches, they had a 8 elim victory royale in their last match and a 7 elim victory royale in their second to last match, pushed them up to the tie, and the 2 victory royales was enough to just barely edge out Bucky, Animal, and Aspect's 1 victory royale. And the funny thing is about all of their elims, both came in as 6 elims out of the 7 were in a 2-minute spurt at the end, and then 7 elims out of the 8 were in a 2-minute spurt at the end. So backs to the wall with everything on the line, they were the ones who were able to secure the spot.
Closing out the weekend, over in NA West, you had Rex, Scented, and Edgy who managed to take home the win.
Yeah, they were able to put up 5 wins out of their 9 matches and also had a really high volume of eliminations, 74 across all of those games, and they were 17 points clear of the Tyven, Macon, and Frappi duo. As you can see, they're just behind them at 144, but then the gap between them and the 3rd place team, 33 points. So an incredible performance from both of those top 2 duos. One thing that's important to note from Scented, Edgy, and Rex, they are incredibly aggressive, able to convert on those eliminations, and they're not only getting eliminations in the end game, they're not afraid to take early and mid fights and to go challenge for high ground early, which is something you don't necessarily see as often in a Shockwave meta, and it was a great way to round out week 1 of the FNCS action.
And that wraps up the first week of the FNCS.
Thanks for watching the recap show and your favorite streamers compete over the weekend, and keep an eye peeled for more content as we head into FNCS Week 2.
We'll see you guys on the Battle Bus.
Peace.